Hello? Why is my camera not working? Hold on. I'm not sure what's happened here. It was on a second ago. Let me see. I might have bumped a cable, perhaps? Give me a second, y'all. Figure this out. Huh. I don't know why it's not working. Come on. Clear power on. Come on, camera. What's happening? Why do I see nothing? Oh, goodness sake. This is not what I expected to happen this morning. And I'm making things worse. I'm sorry, guys. I know I look very unprepared here. I legit had this all working just fine a minute ago. Don't know what's the problem is at this point. I am unsure what's going on. Why my camera is doing nothing. Or the cables. I have power to the capture card for sure. I can see it. Huh. Okay. Well, let's think for a second. My camera does not want to work for me today. What can I move around to make this work? Now, just going with my web camera, which I might need to do here. Let me do a quick little swap. Swaparoo. All right. So, okay, let me try moving this. Bear with me for a second. Best laid plans when suddenly your camera decides to stop working right when it's time to start the stream. Okay. Okay, so here's my painting, and I can't hold the camera for the entire time. If I set you on the table with this little guy, it's probably going to be a little too low. Let me see. Yeah, that's not exactly ideal, is it? Okay. Use my brain for a second. Gonna figure this out. And it's already a big enough mess in here. What does it matter if you make it a bigger one? Let's see if I can stack some things up and get a little platform here. Oh, and break everything while I'm not doing it. Is that even close? How's that? Not quite. They're still really low. Still really too low. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. I can't believe I'm having this problem this morning. At least nobody's here yet while I try to figure this out. Nope, camera's still not working for whatever reason. That's what I get. I moved it yesterday to film for a regular video. And I don't think it liked that. How can I get us a little higher? What else do I have? My books. I have some books. It looks terrible. Okay. Maybe too much light. One. This is not the right camera to be trying to capture artwork with. Okay. I'm a little fluxum down. Well, we're getting closer in terms of positioning, but it still looks awful. And this is precarious as all get up. Oh. Boy, this is not ideal. There's one more thing I can try. One more camera I can try. My onboard camera. In which case I can see if I can just turn. I can try just turning my easel. See if that will work a little better. Slightly. Oh my. This is ridiculous. Okay. Luckily I can tilt my monitor quite a bit. We might just have to do it this way. Well then, unexpected. And there's not actually like much room for me to be here. I kind of like to get on the other side if I can. Let me try that. All right. Like that. The only issue is going to be controlling the I can't control the point of focus so well. Okay, this is insane. I'm spending the first 10 minutes trying to adjust to the fact that my camera is decided to be AWOL today. I don't know why. It was working great yesterday. I literally had it testing on right before hitting the go live button and it worked. So, here, see, we can make it look a little better. That help? No. I don't think I can get it too much closer and still have room for me to stand here. Okay. This might kind of have to do. I'm going to go ahead and apologize to everybody for that little bit of chaos and for, you know, best laid plans sometimes. Maybe we'll make this a shorter painting stream today and then I'll take some time to figure out what's going on. Because the quality just isn't going to be the best, unfortunately. All right, I think that's about the best I can do. So yeah, the color looks not great because this is just my onboard computer camera, but it looks a little better than when I tried it with my just webcam USB camera that I use for me. So, and on top of that, I'm getting warnings that my bitrate isn't the greatest, so this isn't the most ideal situation at all. All right, well, we're here. We're here. My brushes are over there and I'm unboxing. Okay. One more quick setup thing here. Let's bring the whole container over. Oh, and you can see, I love this brush container. This amazing ceramic artist that he just does these really cool, like, putting these elements on pieces he makes. Right now, I think his current line of work is like making ceramics and then making them look like old like garage oil cans and things. Really cool, but the stuff, I mean, you gotta love that. Okay. So today, given the situation we're in, I think I might just do a little bit of fussing here in the, adding a few more details in the, what do you call it, flowers coming out of her head. And I did make some changes. Do a little quick close-up. Sorry, I get to like see all the pores in my face here, y'all. All right. Let's bring USB, here we go. So you can see a little bit closer. It's very washed out with light, so apologies for that. But I'm really trying to make the idea clear that this is actually coming out of her. This is actually coming out of her head. Like, it's not a headpiece she's wearing. It's not her hair. All these flowers are meant to be like cascading out of her skull. And so I have a few little things I'd like to do differently here, add some detail. It's very expressive right now, which is fine. It's still going to stay fairly expressive, but I'm going to add a couple more things and do a few little tweaks. So maybe we can I'll just focus on that today. Switch back to my other camera here. And I cannot apologize enough for my technical issues. I really don't know why my camera has chosen to not be working for me. The only thing I can think is it might be a cable. One of the cables to the capture card that goes into the camera kind of wants to just hang there. And I don't know if it's the cable or the actual part it goes into. Hi, Jim. Getting to see all my chaos this morning. Everything's going wrong. It's great. So yeah, my actual nice camera isn't working, so I've shoved everything. I got about this much space to stand between my computer desk and my easel so that we can use my onboard camera. But we're gonna try to make it work. Hey, all right, where are we? I'm going to grab... I have like canvases and things on the floor everywhere, so if I can at least move that out of the way for now, that buys me couple extra inches. All right. So for the hair stuff, and I really am not going to need much paint at all, and you're going to be able to see my palette at least this time pretty easily. So there's that, even though the colors look terrible. And I don't think there's anything I can do in terms of adjusting lighting that's going to help much. And I'm pretty sure that the camera's trying to focus primarily on me, and I can't really adjust that. So yeah. We'll just keep it short and sweet today. And then hopefully by next week I can fix all these issues. But oh my lord. Just everything out the window, because you just can't plan for this, you know? And you might as well laugh as cry, right? But it's funny because right before the stream started, I was thinking about the creative process. And when they talk about the creative process, it's like these 5 steps. 1 through 5, these are essentially what is it? I think I got it on the screen. Preparation, incubation, or preparation being the research, incubation, experiment and hypothesize and explore, illumination, the idea comes together, evaluation, reflect and criticize, assess, and implementation, do it. And that's fine and good, except that we all know that the creative process never is that linear. I know for sure for me, that straight line, or even that if they make it a circle, it's more like the zigzags around it that go back and forth, like from this stage to the next stage, and then back and forth again. Because it's a lot of, that's just how it is. It just isn't that smooth. It isn't that linear in real application, especially with art. And as I was thinking about that, I think that I invited the fates to screw with me this morning and say, hey, your camera's not going to be working, so figure that out. Ah. But I was thinking about the creative process because it feels like it's not so different than how like we develop as people, if that makes sense. Like just personal growth and all that jazz. Ugh, crusty paint. Because that's the same kind of thing. If we decide we want to work on something, or we just inherently do because that's kind of how we are as human beings, always growing and changing. What a mess. Trying to get some hunk of dried paint out of here. There. Well, there it is. Gross. And I can't reach my garbage can, so it's just going to sit next to me here. My paints are kind of in no particular order whatsoever because I am now all just like off my plan. It's bad enough on a good day for me to like be very sorted and organized and rational, but you throw some kinks in the gears and here we go. All bets are off. Okay. So we're just starting with little bits. I'm not even going to bother putting down my slow dry medium because I'm going to work with the really small areas here. Here we are. And I'm just going to grab a little guy. A number 2 filbert. Little guy. I'm going to start there, I think. Okay. Take a breath. Everything's fine. All the time. This is just how life goes, right? Have a sip of coffee. It's all fine. All good. Now, am I gonna knock over my coffee that's right behind me? A really good question because it's literally this far away from me. My computer desk is only about 13 inches deep. So, yeah, it's gonna go great. All right. I don't know what I'm doing. Everything's messed up. It's all chaos. The world is insane. Okay. So I'm going to add some stems that you can I want to kind of see them a little bit coming from here. So it really does look like there's some kind of like motion from this point out. Let me see if I can move my light so I'm not casting so much of a shadow when I paint on here. Okay. All right, we're going. We're doing it. I don't know. Kind of works to have the light right there because that's literally where the light is coming from in the context of my painting. So hey, we're gonna go with it. Yeah. Best laid plans. There's something kind of satisfying about painting really tiny like this. I don't really know why, but it's just like, ah, look at a tiny little leaf just like that. How nice. And I don't know how much you can really see of what I'm doing. I hope you can see enough. I can't get the camera any closer to my easel and still be standing here to paint, unfortunately. I've been thinking about getting some new, updating my playlist for the music. So I gotta imagine that after so many streams, it gets a little repetitive to hear. I have, I don't know, 20 or 30 songs on there, but even then, and I know they're not like at the forefront, but still. Something I wasn't really expecting is that it's getting really hot tucked into this little corner here with the lights on. And I should have probably opened a window because it's really quite beautiful today. I think this is the last like crazy unseasonably warm November day we have planned here. And then it's gonna, I think tomorrow's supposed to be about like 20 degrees cooler. So that'll be just a slight adjustment in a day's time, which has been kind of what this entire year has been like. Just strange and in constant flux. Okay. It's been a busy but productive week. Even then, I keep thinking I'm going to accomplish more than I ever do in a given day, which is, you know, something you think you'd learn, but it just is sort of how it goes where, like, yesterday, finish a blog post, send out the email, post on social media, and then I wanted to paint after I did all these other things, but everything ended up taking longer than you think it will because something randomly won't work right or as expected or whatever it is. It just sort of never fails, but you do the best you can. And I am also somebody who has a lot of time blindness. I lose track of time and don't do a good job of realizing how long something's going to take. So I've learned to just be okay with letting things roll over on the to-do list. I do the best I can, but some things just are gonna get pulled over to the next day. And you just have to be okay with it, because what are you gonna do? Another thing is I do, like, maybe I would get it done if I didn't like call it in onto the day at a certain point. Like just work until the work is done in a day. That might get more done. But it can also, well, for one, make the quality of the work start to suffer. As well as just like affect the quality of your life. Like for me, that would probably mean like maybe I don't eat much of a good dinner. I don't spend time with people. And just allowing time to unwind at the end of the day. Because I'm somebody who can really blur those lines if I'm not careful. So I try to be careful. Because that's another thing when you work at home. It's not like you're leaving the office at the end of the day and that's it, you're done with work. Your office is here, it's where you are. You can always be doing something. And I need an even smaller brush for a minute. This one makes me sad. It's a very old brush. It's a number 2, but it's kind of splayed a little bit. Like it doesn't come to a nice point anymore. And I've tried to like reform it and kind of force it into place using like the master soap, like really get it in there and let it sit, but it's just not going to be good for what I need it to. And there's another one that makes me mad too. Flathead brush. And then I turn it outside and you can see like, how can I hold it so you can see better? Little bristles sticking out, like it should be narrow there. But no. And that is what happens when you are a bad brush caretaker. Or me. I'm much better than I used to be. Like I make a real effort to try to take care of my brushes. So some of the damage on some brushes that I have is just because they're very old. And any newer brushes, it's from oversight, missing something, forgetting about something. And for years I just would use, just water, soap. I didn't have like actual brush conditioning cleansers. So, and that's something that like I never learned to do or to have. I just like kind of stumbled upon it eventually. And just another one of those things that feels very simple and basic, but nobody ever told you, so you didn't know. And that's even having been to art school. But there was no focus on medium in my major, on like how to best use a medium or anything like that. It was, I majored in illustration and it was just all about ideas, and then how well can you draw your idea, and is your idea even successful? So whatever medium you want, nobody cares. It's all, it was just about the finished product. You really, I don't know if you can't really quite see what I'm doing, but I'm actually like painting tiny little skulls in there. Oh, it got a little messy. Yeah, it doesn't look the greatest, does it? Like in terms of you being able to see what I'm doing. Oh, I don't know. There's a little hair in there, but it's not like a cat hair. It's like a thread, like a light thread from a shirt or something. Fabric. That's weird. Oh, I saw the movie Big Eyes yesterday. That's the one that's about Margaret Keane and Walter Keane, about the two of them. David Burton did it. I didn't realize that until I put it on. But I'd wanted to see it for a while because it's based on a true story of an artist, and it's an interesting story for sure. um, Very curious one. And I kind of, after seeing the movie, want to look into it a little bit further because it seems as though it was never like the court settled against Walter, and it sure seems like, based on what we hear about it, that is like what the movie portrays is accurate. And I wonder if it was ever like proven. So I feel like, I mean, I know it was a different time, but I feel like you could prove some of these things. Like if she had the paintings before she even met that guy, they would have been signed with her other name, and you could, I think, prove whether or not either of them had gone to art school, because that never came up when they were in court, or the guy's claiming that he taught her art. I don't know. I mean, of course, movie is a dramatization to make a good movie. So how much of that is a good representation of fact or not, who knows? But certainly it was interesting. It was a fun film. Stressful. Like parts of it stressed me out. As somebody who's been in situations where I was affected by a lot of gaslighting and manipulation. So when you see it, it just like kind of, you feel it more than you'd like to because you know what it was like. You empathize a little almost too strongly. Film bothers me a little bit. It's like too wide, I think. Just kind of at this point doing some detail work, like little cleanup on some edges here and there. It's not a ton exciting to watch, but I just not sure what all I can really do here since the quality of the camera of the using this camera is so kind of awful. I can't help but laugh at all of this. It's so ridiculous. I can just barely turn around in here. Mind Meets Universe, hello. Thank you, thank you. Ooh, cheese Danish sounds good. I'm getting, because of the weird setup, because my camera's not working, the lighting isn't great here. So when I'm painting, I'm casting my own shadows. And of course, it looks kind of terrible for you guys with color and light. Just the camera in general is not great quality. But I think I'll go maybe another 10 minutes, do some fussing around, and then make it a shorter stream today so that I can fix my camera. I just, of all the things, of all the things, of all the days. And then to even post this, like, keep this video up, because the first 10, 15 minutes we're just trying to find a camera that works in here. Oh boy, it's so much comedy. Too small. For a really long time, I never worked very large. So the majority of my brushes are kind of mid to smallish sized. I have a handful of like 3/4 inch brushes to 1/2 inch brushes. And then I've got, it jumps up to like this. I got 2 brushes that are 2 inch. And the reason I have 2 inch brushes is because I put one away somewhere safe when I was redoing my studio, reorganizing it. And I couldn't find it for the longest time, and I thought I'd completely lost it. So I ordered another one. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I do. I try to at least make the best of the situation. And yeah, it kind of is just funny. I do have one really big, like, big fat 2 inch brush, which is good for like varnishing, but yeah, I don't have a lot of bigger ones. And oh yeah, the one that I ordered to replace the other one, I've never used it. So hey, let's do a thing. Let's do something with it. A little bit of turquoise or aqua, bright aqua green. Yeah, just a tiny bit. This is an extremely soft brush, which is definitely good for blending. So it's nice for that. I make a stiff brush if I have any extra lying around, good for textures. And I just had my coffee too, slowly not feeling like a zombie. I know I'm still working. This is technically still my first cup. I feel like I'm very behind. I keep getting distracted from my coffee even. Yeah, old crappy brushes, I still keep them because they are still useful. Absolutely. I agree with that. I don't usually the only time I usually throw away a brush is once it starts to lose bristles in the painting. At that point, then it's kind of like fair game to be like, yeah, you might be ready to retire. So I have gotten rid of a couple that are doing that, but by and large, yeah, I don't entirely retire them. Speaking of brush hairs, whatever that is, that's old. Oh. Giant brushes like this, or using a palette knife. You go through your paint a lot faster, which is not necessarily a problem, just is. You just have to pay attention to how your palette's doing and do you have what you need. The worst thing I've ever done in terms of like using the paint on my palette is like not wanting to waste something that I put down, especially with acrylic paints because it dries up pretty quickly, and then like trying to force myself to use something that maybe isn't really the right thing to use simply because I didn't want to waste it, which isn't always, I mean, sometimes it works out okay, but sometimes it's not the best thing to do for your painting. Okay. Yep, dropping things. Except being in this position, much harder to pick them up. Like for real, if you could see this, I have a about what 18-inch by not quite 2 feet space I'm standing in. Oh, it's fun, you know. Make it a challenge, make it interesting. There's a lot more to happen with these. There needs to be quite a bit more of them. Maybe today will be the day I finally make my mall stick. Because I've had all this stuff to do it. And what my hang up about getting it done has been I bought, that super cheap dowel, whatever, just what you need for it. And there's a part of me that's like, we could sand it and put a coat of like polyurethane on it, make it real nice. And really that wouldn't take that much time, but adding in extra steps has a very much an element of making the task so much bigger than it would otherwise be. So I haven't gotten it done yet. But a day like today would be a great day to sit on the patio for a few minutes and just give it a quick sanding. And then the other thing of like, I live in a condo, like an apartment style situation. So it's not like there's a nice place to go do these things and leave it to dry when I put the polyurethane on it for a while. When I've done things like that, it's like set up a place at the kitchen sink and just, or not the sink, but on the kitchen table and just cross your fingers that cat doesn't jump on it. And so have the windows open for the fumes. So it's not always the most ideal situation, but you figure out ways to do things. But yeah, it can become a bigger thing in my mind than it needs to. And I know that that's like very much a kind of an ADHD type thing of that paralysis about doing things. But it's not, I'm always doing things. I'm always busy anyway. I was watching a really great video. I don't know if anyone knows who Mel Robbins is. I think she was she came up with that idea of that countdown from 5 to do something. 5, 4, 3, 2, do, right? Yeah, I tend towards that too. It's worth doing. It's worth overdoing, right? Yeah. Until I get bored with it and then it never gets finished. That's another problem I have too. But yeah, absolutely. But Mel Robbins made this video that was I think a relatively recent one. She has this blog on YouTube that she does on YouTube, and it was about undiagnosed ADHD, like late diagnosis of it. It was really good. I was watching that while I was working yesterday. Well, somewhat watching it, somewhat paying attention to it because attention spans, but I think she just describes things in a way that was better than I've heard before. But yeah. Anyway, hard for me to maintain a train of thought here and do something else at the same time. You gotta be careful what you're doing. Put paint where I don't mean to, because I'm distracted about what I'm doing. Oh, I'm sweating. Warm in this little corner. All right, clean off my palette knife a little bit. Some of that paint was starting to dry on there. Okay, then I have an idea about something else. Now that I made some adjustments in the and how bright some things are, adjust the light so it's, yeah, there's no winning with the lighting with this camera. Maybe that. I've made this quite a bit brighter in here, so I will probably need to go into these guys and push maybe the highlight a little bit also. But I think this is the point. I think I'll probably stop at this point just because I've done a little bit that I feel okay about doing in this current situation where the lighting's not good, my camera is not good. And then by the next stream, on Monday evening, I'll have figured out, fingers crossed, I'll have figured out what's going on with the camera so I can have that set up correctly. So then you can really see what I'm doing and what's happening with the painting, because that's the idea, right? And we'll keep moving along and get her further done, closer to done. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. The more I do, the more I see that I want to make adjustments to, like having added in more green here and changing some highlights a little bit. Like here, the way that the lightness of her hip is interacting with the background, I would prefer to push this back further. I do kind of like the green here, and maybe it carries through a little bit like this, kind of like it is a little bit now, but I think that I'd like there to be the background going back a little bit more, just a little bit more behind her. Like some can come up around her, but it's just not literally in space necessarily, but just in contrast. So just too light right here. So that will be something that I will probably consider adjusting next time, and probably do a lot more focusing on working on these. And for everything like that I do, there's another thing that needs to be adjusted for it. Because I don't work in the way where I have it all completely drawn out and worked out ahead of time. I have my reference for the primary character, I have some reference for elements I want to add, but then when I put it all together, it's sort of something that just sort of happens as a process. So making adjustments to lighting and shadow and areas of contrast to try to make it work the best way that for me. I'm sure plenty of people could make better arguments about doing things in a different way, but it's my work, so I just do the best I can, right? We all do, and that's what makes everything that everyone creates special, because it's our own minds being vomited out onto canvas or paper or whatever it is you make or create. That's the beauty of it. But okay, I'm going to pause here and we'll pick it up again Monday at 7 p.m. US Central Time. Again, continuing with this, and like I said, have everything working and properly by then is the plan. Today was a weird one, but we still got some creative work done, and I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me while I do this, and I hope I will see you next week. Bye, have a great weekend. I hope all the best creative energy to you. Bye.